And he asked me what my goals were. And I said, my goal is to sell 10 million worth of real estate in my first year. And he tells me, let's make realistic goals. That doesn't really happen. I want you to stay in the industry. What I can't understand is you telling me I can't do something, right? And so I'm sitting there and I remember like it felt like I took a sip of my iced tea for like 45 minutes because he just told me that and I needed time. So I just like grabbed my straw, and like just sipping my iced tea. And I put my iced tea down and I go, you know what? I appreciate you. And I thank you for all your time and helping me get, to this point. But within the next 90 days, I'm going to be leaving your brokerage.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Crabb with Investor Fuel, and today we're talking with Cyrus Mohseni. He's a real estate operator in Newport Beach, California. Cyrus built his career from starting a real estate brokerage to becoming an active real estate investor, and we're going to talk about that journey, what he learned making that transition, and kind of how he thinks about growth in today's market. So thank you so much for joining us today, Cyrus.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited. My team had let me know that we were booked for this today, and I was really excited because, I've actually followed the podcast for a little while. So thanks for having me on.
That's great. Wow, we love to hear that. Well, of course, happy to have you. So take me back to the beginning. We talked about right before the podcast, we were chatting about, you said you have kind of a unique story getting into this field and kind of where you are now. But so I'm curious, like, where did this start for you? Were you always interested in real estate, or was that kind of also a surprise to you?
No chance. Absolutely no chance. So in my mind, by the way, like I thought about real estate as like, old white guy, boring, no personality. You know what I mean? Like that was my thought. That was my vision of real estate. Right. So, I'll rewind a little further back, because I think it's super important to understand. But long story short, I used to play soccer for a living. So I was 18 years old when I moved to Europe, signed a professional contract, played soccer for a living, played all around the world. I played in Europe. I played in Costa Rica. I played in California for Chivas USA, San Jose Earthquakes. And I was back in Europe. I came back home to sign with a team in LA, and I got in a car accident. I had no clue what I was going to do with my life. In between every single off season, I went through some sort of school. One year I went to Italian class. Another year I went to French class. I failed both of those. So I realized like languages are not my thing. And this specific off season, I knew I was going to sign in LA. And I knew I wanted to buy a house because of the contract I was going to sign and whatnot. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to go to real estate school so I can learn the process of buying a home. And this kind of stems from like when I was younger, my dad had mentioned this, and my dad passed away when I was young. But when I remember my dad mentioning like because I didn't like school. I hate school. Love learning, but I hate school. And I was I don't know, probably 7 or 8. And I remember my dad telling me, like, because he was like, you got to do good in school. I was like, I hate math. And by the way, now math is like my favorite. Like, I love math. And this is why. My dad goes, you hate math? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, then how are you supposed to count your money? And I was like, what? And
That's
he's
a
like,
good
it's all
quote. Yeah.
math. So he showed me money. He showed me money and he showed me how to count money and like what it was and like using money as an example for my math. And so then I was like, oh, this is too hard. I'll just hire somebody to do that. I don't need to do it. I'm like 7 or 8 years old. And he goes, then how do you know they're counting it right? And I was like, you got a point. You got a point. So in my mind, I always knew, like, if I'm going to do something big, I need to learn how to do it enough so that I can't get taken advantage of, right? Like this thought process.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So this stayed with me
totally.
for forever. My dad ended up passing away in 2005. I was 11 years old, 10 years old, 11. But fast forward, like I said, I was playing soccer. I'm doing this. So during the off season, I'm like, I'm going to buy a house. So I should go to real estate school, right? So I should understand about real estate so that no one can take advantage of me. This is my mind from when I was, 7 or 8 years old. So I go to real estate classes thinking I'm going to learn about how people buy houses. For anyone that's ever got their real estate license, they understand it has nothing to do with actually buying or selling a house. It's like how to measure land and like how many acres are, like it's like how many square feet are in an acre.
And you're like, it's
like
math
crazy
again.
stuff that I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not again, Now I love math, But
Yeah.
like my point is like it had nothing to do with real estate. So, but I did these classes and then I planned to just go into season, sign this contract. So I never really planned to get my real estate license, but I finished all the classes. Then I get in a car accident. I was driving down the street. Someone made a legal left-hand turn and T-boned me. I didn't even sign my new contract yet. It was 2 weeks before I'm going into the office to sign. It was during winter break. And then the doctors tell me I'm not going to play soccer anymore. I'm summarizing. And I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? My whole life, I told everybody my life plan was so after my dad passed away. So just kind of like rewind again, I'll kind of weave all of this back in. But my grandma, my uncle, and my dad all passed away in the same year. So my grandma passed away in January '04, my mom's mom. My uncle passed away in October '04, my mom's brother. And then my dad, my mom's husband, passed away in November '05. So I lost three of the most important people in my life in 1 year. And the reason I got so into soccer was because it was the only thing that got my mind off of what I was dealing with at home. And when this happened, I like really got into like just like playing soccer, whatever. And then like maybe like a year after my dad passed away, I said I wanted to play club soccer. So I started calling coaches, asking if I could play club soccer with their team. Most of them said, put your dad on the phone, put your mom on the phone. My dad's passed away. My mom's at work. I'm the last of 5 kids. So my mom started working 6 jobs to keep the house over her head. So my mom was working all the time.
My gosh.
But I
Yeah,
knew
no
I wanted to
kidding.
play club soccer. And so I just kept ringing coaches, and I finally got a coach that was like, yeah, I'll take you, come to training. So then I had to figure out how to train. So I called my friend and I'm like, you wanted to play club soccer? Why doesn't your mom take us to practice, And
Smart.
so anyway, so I get to this tryout or whatever, and I end up making the team, and the guy that's there was a former professional soccer player in Argentina, and he's the coach. And it was the first time that I noticed that, like, well, there's like a professional athlete you could touch, you could like feel, and like it's a real person. It's not like a god, right? So I
Yeah.
made the realization that
Yeah.
like it's possible is my point, right? So at that moment when he told me he had played pro, I decided I was going to play pro. And I decided I was going to play professional soccer at that moment. I was in 6th grade. And so from then on, my whole life, I told everyone my game plan. I'm going to play soccer. I'm going to go pro after I graduate high school. Once I once I go pro, I'm going to play till I'm about 40, and then I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to coach pro. That was my game plan. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Nice easy life. So during high school, I had a bunch of colleges giving me full rides. My counselor telling me I should take them. I told her like, no, I don't want it. She goes, what about a backup plan? I'm like, a backup plan's an excuse to fail. Like I'm going all in, full soccer. This is what I do, and I did it. Right, I played pro. Like, but I
Yeah.
didn't take into account the fact that there could be outside things that affect my career.
Yeah.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah. It's like a piano
I
player
had nothing.
losing their hands. Like it's like you don't even think, what do I even do now? Like it's yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So I'm driving down the street. I go to lunch. I'm driving home from lunch, driving down the street. It's raining. Someone makes an illegal left-hand turn, T-bones me. And I didn't know it at that moment, but that was the end of my career. And so I had no backup plan. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to school. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And but I'm like, so I'm super depressed. I thought everybody liked me for what I did, not for who I was. You know, that's a whole different conversation, but I had a full identity crisis. But I'm like, what am I gonna do? What's my life gonna, you know? And I'm like, well, I just finished this real estate stuff. Maybe I'll get into real estate. So I decided, you know, after time and yada yada, I decided I'm gonna get into real estate. I got into real estate. I joined a big box brokerage. I told the at the time the owner of that office sat me down for lunch, was like, let's talk about your goals. I was like, hell yeah. Like I get to sit down with the owner of the office. It was the number one office in that big box brokerage in the country at the time. So I'm like, this is amazing. And he asked me what my goals were. And I said, my goal is to sell 10 million worth of real estate in my first year. And I don't drink. I don't, you know, so we're sitting down and he had a beer or whatever, or a glass of wine. I don't know what it was. And I had iced tea. I always have iced tea, whatever. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting there and he tells me that. I tell him, you know, hey, look, I want to sell 10 million in my first year. And he tells me, let's make realistic goals. That doesn't really happen. I want you to stay in the industry. His side of things made sense, right? Like now from an operating standpoint, like you don't want to give too much hope to these agents, because then what if they don't accomplish it and then they fall out
Yeah.
of the industry, yada yada, right? I can understand that.
Yeah.
What I can't understand is you know, you telling me I can't do something, right? And so I'm sitting
Yeah.
there and I remember like it felt like I took a sip of my iced tea for like 45 minutes, because he just told me that and I needed time, so I just like grabbed my straw, you know, and like just sipping my iced tea. And I put my iced tea down and I go, you know what? I appreciate you and I thank you for all your time and helping me get, you know, to this point. But within the next 90 days, I'm going to be leaving your brokerage. And he goes, what? That'd be stupid. We're the number one office in the country, blah, blah, blah. Then starts naming the people that are there and yada, yada. And I go, yeah, but like if I want to hit a goal and you're the one that's supposed to help me get to that goal and you don't believe I can hit that goal, then what am I doing here?
Wow. Yeah.
And
That's a good snippet right there. Yeah.
and at that moment, I told him basically I'm not going to go, and he thought I was stupid, yada yada, blah blah blah. The next 90 days, I ended up opening my own independent brokerage. So within 90 days of me getting my real estate license, I opened an independent brokerage. Um, Long story short, became very successful in this brokerage. I ended up selling my first year. I didn't do 10 million. I did 30 million.
Well,
And
so he
then
was
every year
right.
after
You
that,
didn't see.
he was correct.
Yeah, you're not going to do 10
Yeah,
million
if
your
you think
first
about it
year.
that
No
way.
way.
Yeah, if you think about it that way, yeah. So I have a mentor that helped me get into the industry like that, like, when I was getting into it, he was a mentor of mine, like life mentor, and then, ended up eventually becoming a business partner of mine, but he was a life mentor of mine. And then I told him I'm getting into real estate when I was sitting on the back of his yacht. And he goes, "Well, how do you think I bought this?" And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, like that's real estate." And I was like, he had been retired since I knew him. So I didn't know what he did. I just knew he was like
Yeah,
this ultra successful guy,
yeah.
and he had done a bunch, like he had been on like Richard Nixon's campaign and like, I mean, like all kinds of crazy stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I'm sitting with Jack as I'm closing a bunch of these deals. And right when I get in the first, like when I close maybe a second or third deal, and Jack tells me, "Okay, you're doing well. Now every 3 homes you sell, you need to buy one." I'm like, um, "Jack, it's not 1940 anymore. It's not how this works. You don't just sell 3 homes and buy a house. Like houses cost a little
And
more money, Jack."
yeah, and just for some context, like what year are we talking around? Like just so we kind of can get
This
an idea
is
of where the
this is
market was
about
at.
10 years ago. So
Oh, yeah. So yeah, not
2016, 17.
yeah.
No, this is like it's like we're talking about $1 million averages in California. Like there's no
Yeah,
chance.
no kidding. And yeah, and I totally forgot you're in California. That's even more so.
Yeah. So I'm like, I like tell him there's no chance, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Well, you got to figure it out. Like, this is what you got to do." And in my mind, I'm like pissed off at Jack. I'm like, I'm like, leave. I remember like, uh, 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 talking to one of my friends at the time. I'm like, "Jack says this, blah, blah," and they all laugh. And I'm like, "How stupid, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's impossible." And then, but here's the thing. Like, I'm also not, when a mentor gives me advice and tells me something, like I might be pissed off about it at first, but like, I still think about how can I do that, right?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
So then I start, like, these wheels start turning. I'm like, dude, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this, blah, 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 yada, yada. So fast forward, I sell this luxury condo I sell a luxury condo, not to anybody. I was a listing agent. It's about an $800,000 condo in Long Beach. And this guy that sold it, he was supposed to buy a duplex. And so he's selling this so he could buy a duplex. He's trying to invest. And he goes, and so we're shopping and I'm in sales mode. I'm like when I say it, like I was pure sales mode, this is where I was. And he goes, he tells me, "Hey, you know what, Cyrus? Like we've been shopping for a couple months. I decided I'm not going to buy anything in California." I'm like, "What?" By the way, like perspective is like 1.2 million. Let's say $1 million, because just because easier math in my head. That's a $30,000 commission, right? Like, so I'm like, "What do you mean you're not going to buy anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm buying in Indiana." And I'm like, "Are you stupid or are you dumb?" And he
Those are
goes,
the
he goes,
options.
"No,
Yeah.
I'm buying in Indiana." And I go, "But do you understand what appreciation is?" I'm like, "This is like California real estate, like blah, 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 blah." Like, I'm like hard on this. And he goes, "No, dude, like I'm buying a duplex for $40,000. I'm like, "What?
What was
$40,000?"
that?
And he goes, I was like, "Yeah, but like, what's that? What's, I know the down payment, but what's the cost?" And like, what, 400 grand? He goes, "No, $40,000. I'm buying it."
Total.
I
Yeah.
go, "Huh. Yeah, total." I'm like, "Huh, sell 3 houses. I could buy one of those easy." Average commission, but I'm like doing math in my head. And
Yeah.
so I just start asking him questions about this area. And long story short, He's like, I'm going out there in 2 weeks, yada, yada. I'm like, dude, I'm going to come out there. So I flew out there. I spent like 2 days in Indiana. And I looked around and I'm like, okay, this is no chance. Like, there's no chance, whatever. And then I came home. Then I went back out there. Then I spent 4 days out there. Then I came home.
Couldn't shake it.
Then
Yeah.
I went back out there. I spent 5 days out there. And during each time that I went out there, I was meeting like property managers. I was meeting real estate agents in the area. I was meeting like everybody that I needed to know if I wanted to buy something. I met with probably 40 general contractors. I met like anything, everybody that I needed to know, I went and met with. Um, and so I spent like 5 days out there. Then I spent a week out there. And then I was like, okay, this actually might be a play. So I started buying properties. I bought a house. My first house that I offered on, my first house I offered on, not that I bought. My first house that I offered on, there was a little for sale by owner sign. It was a boarded up house. You could barely read the for sale by owner sign because it's been up that long, it got faded,
Yeah.
And it said, for sale by owner, here's the number. So I stop, I get off, I call the number. She wanted $20,000 for this house, single family home, boarded up.
Jeez.
And I looked at it. I asked her if I could go in. She's like, yeah, if you could get in, basically, because it's like boarded up. So I went over there with one of the contractor guys that I met. We opened up the thing. We looked, and it's like gutted. Like, it's like gutted. There's no windows, but everything else there's one window that's brand new, that's broken, but all the other windows are brand new. But everything else is just gutted, like disgusting. I was like, damn. And so I go back to her and I said, hey, I'll give you $6,000 cash.
Oh.
And she goes, no chance. She goes, no chance. She's like, I'll take 18 grand or something like that. And I said, no, thank you. This was probably in June or July, maybe. It was like in the summer that I was there. Fast forward. And then I had bought other properties in between this. I started buying like other properties, 35 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand, whatever. And so I started just buying properties in the area, renting them out. I was buying properties for like 50 grand, renting it out for $1,000 a month, like crazy numbers. And it was a certain neighborhood and in this city. And then I get a call 2 weeks before Christmas from this lady. And she goes, hey, Cyrus, I forgot what her name was. But she goes, this is blah, blah, blah. It's the house over on this street. Oh yeah. Hey, how's it going? She goes, are you still interested in buying that house? I said, I'm always interested in buying a house. And I didn't really remember what the house was, because I'm calling so many houses. How I made my money in real estate,
Sure, yeah.
as far as an agent goes, is I cold called. I cold called and I door knocked. So to find investment properties, it's very natural for me to cold call and door knock. Like, it's just what I do. So I was calling so many people. I didn't really remember who she was. And then I was like, what's the address again that you were calling? Which one was that? She gives me the address and I go, oh, yeah. I totally still interested. And she goes, okay, I'll sell it to you for $15,000, but you got to close by next week, by end of next week. I'm like, I offered her, no, you know what? I offered her 5 grand to start. That was the first offer. And so I was like, I just offered her 5 grand. She's telling me 15. Like, I got her down 5 grand. That's not bad. So I called Jack. I'm like, Jack, what do you think? And he goes, dude, that's a good, like, it's a house. You're buying them for this much. You're buying them for 30, blah, blah, blah. You should just go and do it. You're buying them for 60. Yeah. And I go, you're right. So I call her back. I call her back and I said, okay, here's the thing. I'll buy it. I'll close by next week, but I'll give you 6,000. So I went up, right? $1,000 from my original offer. And she's like, no, I can't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada. I said, okay, well then, like, this is not going to work. Like, long story short, I'm like, sorry, like, it's not the property for me. And I know what I'm doing because she's calling me 2 weeks before Christmas. She wants to close by the end of the week before Christmas. Like, she probably wants, so I said, no, thanks, like I don't want to do this. And she goes, okay, blah, blah, blah. So the next week I get a phone call, same number. She calls me. She goes, okay, I'll do it for $9,000. So now she went from 20 to 15 to 9,000.
Yeah.
And I go, I can't do that. The highest I can do is $6,500. And I will give you the cash. You will close in 2 days as long as title comes through. And she goes, I don't think I can do that. Let me call you back. So I get a call back 15 minutes later. She sells me the property for $6,500. I close on it in 3 days.
$6,500.
We got title back. Yeah, $6,500 for a single family home. I put 32 into it to get it back up to what it needed to be. I rented it at that time for $850 a month. That unit now makes me $1,250 a month. It's like just it crushes. But over the years, from that time to now, I've accumulated over 100 units, and very similar numbers to this. And so what I found is, like, I was always looking at these big markets. I need to buy these big units, these big markets. But the reality is I never would have been able to start. What I realized is like I can start with these small single family homes, and then what I've done over the years is, after I bought a bunch of single family homes that do well, I convert them into a portfolio loan, take that money, and then I go buy bigger units, right?
Mm.
So a lot of my process, but my point is like, you can start in real estate, as far as investing goes, but you don't need to start with the most expensive properties. Like, I have investors here in California that are like, oh yeah, they're brand new investors. They want to get, and I'm like, have you ever thought about out of state? Like, let's get your feet wet before you go buy a $2 million investment property, And so,
Yeah, there is a middle
I
ground
built
here. Yeah.
exactly. So I built my investment portfolio in these middle markets, these markets that are probably not, I would say they're C plus neighborhoods. They're not like the worst neighborhoods, but they're also not the best neighborhoods. But
Like, fine.
I
Yeah.
got good property managers. Yeah, I got good property managers, and the tenants, we make sure that they got jobs, they're good, and they're usually blue collar tenants, but they always pay the rent on time. And we give them better living than they had. We fix up the places. The places are way nicer than the market. And so from there, what I've done is like I started buying so many of these properties in these cities that, like, we literally changed the neighborhoods to be able to allow, like just have the quality of living be 10 times better for these people. You know what I mean? And I'm not charging premiums on rent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm charging what market rent is, but just giving them a premium place to live, which is pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
for me as well. Because, like, if you saw some of the conditions of some of these houses that some of these people live in, is like kind of crazy. And I have no interest in being like
Yeah.
a slumlord Section 8, doesn't do anything, does the bare minimum. I have no interest in that. You know
Well,
what I
that's
mean?
good.
Like I want to be able to help people live good lives. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow. So that gives us a really clear picture, I think, of kind of the journey, but not just the journey, like the mindset you had and all the things you were kind of had in the background while you were doing all this. So, yeah. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing all that. When people think they need to start massive, like you said, and you just started where the math worked. So I love that. Do you think you understood, what do you think you understood early? Was that one of the things you understood? Do you think you got taught early that you kind of, was an advantage for you? Was like, if the math works, let's just do it.
What I understood early is, honestly nothing. No, I like always think about like that question. Like when I got into real estate, it's like I knew nothing. I didn't. I think because of the sheer fact that, like, I was so like I had no previous knowledge in real estate. It actually helped me because you hit it on the nail. Like, I just saw the math, and I was like, okay, so I'm buying it for this much and I'm making this much. That makes sense. I can do that. And I compared it against investing into S&P 500. I said, okay, if I put the same amount of money into the S&P 500, would I make the same returns? And if I'd make more in
Yeah.
this, then I'm going to stick with the real estate side. And so that's kind of how I process things. I go now, like, and I've taught classes on investing, and I've been to these seminars where they're like, oh, you need to have this matrix and do this. And I'm like, it's really not that difficult. You just need to know if the money you're putting into the property is going to make you a return of this much, and it's more than what you're putting in, then you should probably buy the property.
Yeah. I
Most
mean,
people
it's
don't
math.
get
Like
into
we said, it's math.
investing. Yeah, most people don't get into investing because there's an analysis paralysis thing. They do so much math that they outmath their whole mind, and they're like, "What do I do?" And it's like, no, like let's simplify this, you know. And so I think that point of like me not knowing a lot, I think if I knew more, it'd probably be harder for me to make the move. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Yeah, that's a good perspective. In fact, I'd be curious now. You've had more experience. You've gotten some deals under your belt, but now we're dealing with this market. I'm curious, what is it that you're dealing with in this market that you're struggling with that you didn't have to struggle with before?
The acquisition, the inventory is my biggest issue. Finding the deal is my biggest issue now. Um, you know, since then I've got into flipping homes and so on and so forth. And like there was a world where like I could, I could have I have 10 deals come across my desk in a week. You know, now it's like I'm lucky if I get one or two that I got to pounce on because there's a lot more people that are getting into investing um that, you know, as far as and let's not talk about the single family long-term
Whoa.
rentals, but
Can you say that again?
let's not talk about the single family the single family rentals, but let's talk about like the flipping thought process because this is where like my world is right now. Like the flips and all of that. Like I have a certain number and percentage that I like. And like in today's world, people are buying properties for a 10,000 or a $5,000 return. And it's just not worth me putting, you know, $600,000 up to go and get a 10,000 or $15,000 return. It's too skinny for me. Um,
Yeah.
and but there's a lot of these investors that go into these things where they don't do the math, where somebody tells them the math and they don't do it on their
Mm.
own. And so then they get themselves into these deals that don't math out. Right. I always tell people like, if you're going to send me a deal, if it's 70% ARV, like I'll buy it all day long because I know the math makes sense there.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, and now, like in today's world, like inventory's tighter. It's like, yeah, I could probably do 80%, but there's no world I'm going to do 90%, which some people are doing because some person says, oh, actually the ARV's 10% higher or whatever. And they never bother to go check it, but they have a quote unquote investment mentor or somebody that's telling them these numbers. And they're just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And it's like, this is not, so the inventory is the biggest issue right now. And so how do we unlock inventory as far as an investor goes? Um, I'm a big believer in old school cold call, door knock, like this driving for dollars mentality. Um, and I'm also a big believer in like systems and processes, but you have to understand that if you're going to find the right deal, you need to have the right people making those calls. So, put in perspective, what I mean by that is I get probably 20 calls a day from someone in the Philippines or in South America or wherever calling me, asking me if I want to sell one of my properties. As soon as I hear that, I hang up. I
Wow.
have agents across the country that send me deals, and it's because these agents are calling sellers and investors and asking if they'd like to sell the house, and their scripts are already done. Like I don't even need to teach them scripts, and I
Yeah.
tell everybody, I'm like, look, like I have no issue with bringing you like I told an agent the other day, I'm like, look, I'll give you 10% of the deal when you bring me a deal. You don't have to put any money up. I'll give you 10% of my profit as long as the deal makes sense.
Gotcha.
And so
Yeah.
for me, I've systemized and scaled my processes that way so that now I'm not paying for a cold caller on a daily basis, but I have hundreds of agents that are cold calling for me, looking for deals for me.
Yeah. Well, and there you go.
And
It's the system's working for you at that point.
correct. And so it's about doing it the right way, and that's like the best hack to unlock inventory is like Like you go to who controls inventory the most, and it's real estate agents, candidly.
Yeah, very true. That's a good little tip there. Cyrus, thanks so much for joining us today. This has been a really good conversation. I think I've learned a lot. So just one more question as we're wrapping up here. What are you focused on building next? Like, what's your next big thing? Are you looking to expand even further or do something different, or what's your main goal right now?
Yeah, right now we are the brokerage, the real estate brokerage side is expanding into multiple states this year. Um and internationally. And then the investment side, I want to go from 60 deals. I want to flip I want to flip over 100 deals in a year. And so that means I need to find a lot more deals. And so in order to do that, it's a lot of collaboration. The same mentor that told me to go buy a house every 3 houses I sell. He also taught me that it's not about the percentage of pie that you get, it's about the size of pie. Because a 10% of a huge pie is still more than a whole 100% of a personal size pie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And
that's a good lesson.
and so for me, I'm a big believer in like JV partnership, grow together. So like anytime someone brings a deal, like I'm always open to having conversations because my big move, my big jump to get to that number is more collaboration. I don't need to own the whole pie. I just need pieces of it. And so that's
Yeah.
that's kind of like the big jump for this next year, this next phase. This is my goal.
Awesome. Well, okay. So if people want to connect with you, network with you, have questions for you, what would be the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, Instagram. Instagram's the fastest way. I respond to every DM. Takes some time sometimes, but Instagram is the best way. It's at Cyrus Andre, so CyrusAndre.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this today. I've really appreciated it. If you've gotten something out of this today, and I know you have, please go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, get some more stuff out of this. You can get more conversations like this on your feed. Cyrus, it's been a pleasure. And listeners, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time on Real Estate Pros.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.